Acama. Altazar lay where he had fallen in the slippery mud. The incessant rain numbed his senses. The nightmares gnawed at his brain, shooting it full of twisted visions. There was Deandra in his arms, soothing him with murmurs of love. Then her face contorted with immeasurable pain and disappeared from view. There was Mura caressing him while muttering her dark incantations to entrap his soul. The worst picture was of Solana, his faithful friend. Had he really sunk so low as to have almost murdered him? Altazar mourned and wept, his tears mingling with the falling rain. He wanted to die, to end his misery of pain, loss, and endless guilt. He would never be worthy again. All he knew anymore was destruction of his life, his soul, and of even his secret purpose. He had failed. Through it all the storm grew fiercer, and the driving wind added its eerie howl to the downpour. At this point our noble High King laid down his life and submerged himself into sleep, the sleep of forgetfulness and letting go. But alas, he was not allowed to remain within that peaceful stillness of the sea of oblivion for very long. Life is not usually that masterful or easy to slip away from. Are we not called back here again and again? Is there really any true reprieve save completion? So Agatha, he too, was called back and waved away from the shining light at the end of the long dark tunnel. And the moment came when he could avoid himself no longer. The awareness of this dimension returned to him. The word had not chosen to release him. First Altazar heard sounds emerging through the darkened night of his soul. They were the simple, natural noises of life. A rooster crowing, somewhere the cry of a baby, followed by the muffled sounds of its mother tending. "Oh no, I am alive yet," thought he with despair and self-pity. Forcing himself to open his eyes, he stared straight into the eyes of a woman, who was looking at him with love and devotion. She was quite young, almost a girl really, and had an innocent face both wide and clear. Her black hair shone a dark blue as the sunlight fell upon it. Something about him felt very different. An old feeling swept over him as he became aware of his body. He moved his hand into his line of vision, and then he realized with a shudder of recognition what had happened. The shock caused a convulsion to rock his body, for he stared at the tiny hand of a newborn baby. Altazar's eyes screwed up as he began to cry, but his cry was not that of a man, it was the shrill note of an infant. The woman moved to comfort him and thrust her breast firmly into his mouth. This surprised him so much that he could not cry and began to drink. Altazar drank deeply of her warm milk and felt a peacefulness settle into him again as he slowly slipped back into sleep. When he again awoke, he found himself tightly wrapped in a cloth that was tied around the same woman. He felt warm and secure. They were lying in a hammock which softly rocked back and forth. Around them he recognized the chattering sounds of monkeys and the occasional calls of parrots. They must be in the jungle then, he surmised. Somewhere not too far off, someone was singing a low chant in a language that he understood not. A wave of sadness engulfed him. He did not want to be here. He did not want to remember. Altazar began to cry once more. The woman stirred beside him and whispered some gentle words as she put him to her breast. Again he experienced warmth and love entering him. Maybe this life won't be so painful. Maybe I can help these people, he thought, as his small hands held to her and he sat deeply. As Altazar grew up in the jungle, he discovered that he was part of a tribal group which migrated together, hunted together, and shared with each other. He learned their language, played with his brothers and sisters, and practiced hunting skills with his father. Yet there was something within him that regarded himself as separate from the others. They were his parents, his family, his tribe. Yes, that was true, but he knew deep inside that he originated from something far different, somewhere ever distant which he could almost recall. The others felt his strangeness as well, and he was given the name of Acama, the one from far away. As Acama Altazar grew to manhood, he began to introduce improvements into the life of the tribe. There were methods and levels of awareness that had not been present before. At first it was small things, like a new way of making a fish cook that was both simpler and more efficient, then greater things like new methods of cultivation and farming tools were gradually brought into practice. By now the people recognized Akama's special talents and brought him presents to show their gratitude. This he steadfastly refused, saying that they owed nothing to him and that he owed the world far more than he could ever repay. They understood this not, but out of respect stopped offering him gifts. Next, the women of the tribe tried to favor him by cooking him special dishes of great delicacies, but here too they met with no success. He thanked them graciously, then passed on the food to those most in need. He ate little himself, contenting himself with only a bowl of the poorest gruel each day, occasionally adding to it small pieces of wild fruit or fish when it was plentiful. When Acama had long passed the initiation rite into manhood and still did not marry, this also began to cause much concern among the people. The young women especially devoted a good portion of their daily gossip to this problem. All of them were quite willing to be his chosen ones. Some were even bold enough to pursue him with their best seductive wiles, but Altazar was never tempted. Finally, one day in exasperation, he caught his mother aside and begged her to explain to the women that he would never marry. I know not why, but I must live a longer life, so please persuade the young women to set their desires elsewhere, he pleaded. His mother understood not his reasoning, yet she knew that he was special and not judged by the standards of others. He was of such benefit to their people. They simply had to learn to respect another of his strange habits, and thus they did. Altazar Acama taught and served his tribal people faithfully, never taking anything for himself. He always lived alone, owning only a ragged old hammock that someone had discarded and an undecorated loin cloth, always giving fully of himself when needed. Many years thus passed. Then the old chief took ill. There were constant murmurings among the people, for all knew that he would soon die. A successor must be chosen. A small delegation approached Altazar Acama and implored him to become their new leader. They were shocked by his angry response, for this was the first and only time that they were to see any display of temper from him. The small group shook their heads sadly and whispered to each other of their perplexity. They understood not why this man, who served them so ably, would not allow them to honor him in any way, and then to become angry when they offered him the position of chief. Why any of them would be privileged to be so fortunate? Finally, since they could not have Akama himself for chief, they chose his younger brother, thinking that at least he would have some of the same blood running in his veins. Thus Altazar's life passed smoothly among his younger tribe. He lived to a fine old age among these people, and he continually served them well. He was understood not, but he was accepted and respected for his gifts. He gave of himself totally, yet he felt as he never could give enough. His long path of atonement had just begun. The pattern endlessly repeated itself throughout various cycles of reincarnated lifetimes. He lost not his overriding sense of guilt, yet he served and served, giving freely to others while consistently denying himself. O altars, I see you know the truth that is present here. It is not long overdue for you to learn to serve yourself as well as others. The time has come for all of us to make an end to all denials. Those many lives of service were not in vain. They served their purpose, but please can you finally step forward into the light of self-forgiveness. Only then shall you experience true healing and completion. The Tower of Light. The morning of the fifth day dawned with a rosy exuberance. Selena led the man Solana to the banks of nearby river. The time for tea parting had come. They stood quietly gazing into soft, mossy green eyes which mirrored each other. Breaking the magic of their silence, Selena said, "It will not be long before we are together again, my love. The hermit has told me that we will found a new lineage, another manifestation of An in a land far across the great ocean, which shall be known as Egypt. I shall meet with you there." She paused as she felt herself brimming over with delicate emotions. Solana took her hands and held them tightly in his. He tried to speak. "I have simply no words to express what I have experienced with you. Farewells are no longer easy for me, but I know that as part of me remains here with you, part of you comes with me wherever I go." He kissed her once again. "Now, my beloved, please show me the way to return to Am." So Luna pointed out to him the winding course of the river. "Follow this, and you will find yourself there in a very short time," she explained. "Is it that easy?" Solana was much surprised. "Of course. The difficulty always is in the finding of a hidden place. Therein lies the testing. Once you are accepted, you need be tested no longer. Hence the return is simple," she replied with a loving smile. He took her into his arms and they kissed deeply for the final time until they should meet again for across the world. Then slowly letting her go, he said, "Until Egypt, my most precious one." And Solana turned towards the river and followed the well-marked path beside it. And as he was about to disappear around the bend, he turned towards Salome and waved lovingly. She stood watching him leave with a sweet smile on her lips as she blew him a kiss in the wind. Thus was the painlessness of their parting. They both knew that they had separated not. This filled the morning air with sweetness rather than sadness. The journey back to Arn was noteworthy only in its ease. Before much time had elapsed, Savannah could hear the rising wisps of music on the wind. Then the sound of one of the long mountain horns resounded from a nearby peak, announcing his impending arrival. Solana wished that he could stay here forever. To spend the rest of his life with Seluna and Anne would be perfection itself, but he well knew that his life had a deeper purpose which he was bound to follow and serve above all else. So letting go of his beautiful fantasy, he prepared to enter Anne. He was not surprised to encounter Acama waiting patiently for him. Solana felt a strong bond of kinship and trust with him. They both broke into happy laughter and embraced warmly. No words were needed. Acama just looked at him keenly and nodded with a wise grin spread across his distinguished face. They soon entered the portals of An, albeit different ones this time, and proceeded directly to the pyramid of Anani. Again they climbed the steep stairs to the fourth level and entered Tehran. The ancient ones awaited them with anticipation. After they had exchanged fond greetings, the father-son spoke. "Solana, you have conducted yourself well. The hermit speaks highly of you." Solana felt his eyebrows rise in surprise. How were they in contact with her, he wondered. The mother of the moon added, "We are extremely happy for you and Solana. She has awaited your arrival for immeasurable years. This woman has long deserved a worthy mate. It has saddened me to see her thus deprived. Anne is most proud to have you here, my son." "You seem to know everything about me," Savannah blurted with astonishment while asking himself what had happened to his famed composure. Everyone laughed heartily at this, and the air vibrated with love and openness. "This is because we are true family here with deep kinship," Agakapak explained. "What need have we for secrets from each other when we all derive from the same essence?" He laughed deeply while throwing his long, elegant arm over Solana's shoulder. "Now, Solana, we must speak of more serious matters again," Taita-san interposed. "It is essential that you complete your journey to Atlantis immediately. We have pondered repeatedly the best way for you to travel there. The problem arises in the corruption which is now rampant in Atlantis. Little time remains for its existence. Dark forces are now in many positions of power. It is preferable for you to arrive there as quietly as possible, for enemies of harm and of the light will harm you if they could. The easiest way for you to enter Atlantis unobserved would be for you to depart here by raft following our secret river, Acama, until it joins with the Grandmother Lake to the north, which empties into the great ocean that surrounds Atlantis. However, this method of travel would require too much time, and Atlantis now has little time left. Hence, we have decided to send you by a faster method, although it is also slightly more dangerous. We are not involved in teleportation here on, such as is practiced in Atlantis and previously in Lemuria. Our method is a form of interdimensional travel, utilizing the Tower of Flight of On. Solana listened to all of this with a growing sense of awe. Will I ever return to On? He asked as he was struck by his sadness at leaving this place of his heart. His mother Moon gently replied, "The kingdom of An, as you have experienced it, will soon disappear from the physical plane of manifestation. New offshoots of its energies will appear in various locations around this planet. One of these you and Soluna shall begin a place to be known as Egypt. Another will be founded near hereby, Akakapak and his sister Koyami. You may recognize the civilization by the worship of the sun and the moon as equals and mates, and by the fact that the founders of the dynasties are twin souls, prophecies, and husband-married like you and Solana. The day will come when this new civilization will also reach their time of completion. It will seem as if An existed not, and it will be largely forgotten from recorded history. At this point, An will remain alive only in the memories of those on Earth who are of its lineage. Ultimately, in the far distant future, the day will arise when those of the An lineage remaining on this planet will complete their terms of service and be called home to An. Remember, when that time comes, An will no longer be found upon this planet. It will reside within another greater central sun system which exists at a higher frequency level upon the evolutionary spiral. The woman continued as Solana listened with rapt attention. When you and the others are ready to return home, when you have heard its call resonate deep within the pre-encoded patterns within your very cells, then you must focus on the belt of Orkora high above in the heavens. The center star is a doorway into a dimensional universe. Use the sounds of Elan Ra to take you to those three stars. Enter the spiral tunnel of the central star's luminous vortex, and you will emerge through the black hole into what is termed the Wise Hole, which is the doorway into the octave which contains a purple sky. Then, if you are truly ready to return to An, you will remember the sounds I shall now give you, which will draw you to us. Leaning close to Solana, she whispered the words into his ear. Solana felt sparks of recognition electrify his body. Mother Moon took his hand, saying, "Until that day comes, when you have truly completed your work here, you may remember us by tuning into the star of Warn, which shall ever be directly overhead you, no matter where you are. Stand within its radiant white and golden beams, and you shall not forget us." Solana felt the radiance of the star of Warn above all of them, and for several moments it felt as if they were all being irradiated by that wondrous orb of light. He felt the presence of others, many others, all quite familiar to him, including his beloved Soluna. Would they not, clad in long white robes and strange golden crowns, open at the top with points like rays of the sun radiating outwards? He stood silently, basking in the warmth of his experience, having truly entered the ultra-greater reality that exists beyond what is known as time and space. Then with a sudden shudder he returned to his physical body and realized he was once again within the pyramid of Anani. "Come, let us proceed to the Tower of Light." Father Sun led them through the doorway and up the remaining steps to the apex of the pyramid. There, They entered into a small chamber of such exquisiteness that it is nearly impossible to describe. We shall merely mention that both walls and floor were inlaid with gleaming emeralds and clear, sparkling quartz crystals, outlined in gold and silver. There is one man whom we still trust and work with in Atlantis, the woman said in a hushed voice. His name is Dr. Zed. We are in communication with him via the magnetic grid. He is already expecting you. Much controversy surrounds him during the present time, for he has unfortunately acquired powerful enemies, but forget not that he is far more than he appears to be. What about my messages to the Brotherhood of the Seven from my people of Rapa Nui? Solana inquired, still carrying the weight of his yet uncompleted responsibilities. Much time has passed by in the outer world, my son, she gently explained. More time than you are able to imagine. The Brotherhood of the Seven is now powerless, and the situation in Atlantis is extremely decadent and corrupt. Dr. Zed will explain all of the details to you when you arrive there. Just how exactly am I going to get there? Solana questioned. The process is difficult to explain with the human mind and with the limitation of words, Father-son replied, but I shall try. First you must see our Pyramid of Anan as a representation of the third dimension, known as the world of matter. Next we visualize its corresponding pyramid that which descends to it upside down from the sky above as the fifth dimension, which we shall term the world of spirit. Understand that where the apexes of the two pyramids meet, they overlap and interlock, forming a diamond of crystal or crystal shape. This takes place in the area where we are presently standing. It represents the fusion or bridge between the dimension of matter and spirit, or form and formless. This bridge is known as the Antarian conversion. This is where we are. In fact, this is one of your functions on Earth, to be a multidimensional being linking spirit and matter, fusing spirit and matter together. Now we are getting to the part that is complex to explain, because first you must throw away all your linear concepts of spatial relationship, spatial relationship. Know that there is no one definitive up or down. There are many. It depends merely on your dimensional point of view or reference. Visualize in your mind that you are putting the two overlapping pyramids flat on the ground, and that you are sitting within the diamond where they meet. You hereby motion to Solana to sit down the floor with an inlet diagram of the two pyramids. Note that when you experience interdimensional spatial relationships, that there is no fixed point of either up or down, nor of horizontal or vertical. When you sit within that diamond-shaped Antarian conversion, formed by the interconnected ascending and descending pyramid, you will see that you are sitting within a tall crystal, a transmitter of light and energy vibration that is the Tower of Light. My dear Solana, Mother Moon added, in truth, numerous towers of light are formed from the interlocking of the ascending and descending pyramid. These are dimensional doorways or stargates, vortexes into myriad time-space dimensions. Hence, the chamber where you are presently sitting, the Antarian conversion, has the capacity to send you to numerous star fields, dimensional reality systems, or universal frequency zones. Father-son brought the conversation slightly back to earth as he continued. When you have truly ended the Antarian conversion and the Tower of Light has revealed itself, then you will experience what is termed the ultra-greater reality. Your being shall be permeated with penetrating light, and you will feel the weight of your physical body slip away as the space between your molecules expands. Then you will begin to rise upwards within that crystal tower of light, sometimes referred to as the pillar of light. The journey may appear timeless, for you will not be within the confines of the time-space continuum, as it is commonly experienced in this plane through normal human consciousness. You will no longer be aware of yourself as an individualized consciousness. You shall simply be light. When you finally reach what we shall term the top of the Tower of Light, you will find yourself in a chamber hidden within Atlantis, and Dr. Sad shall await you there. After bidding you yet another sad, sweet farewell to those whom he loved dearest, Solana closed his eyes and began to concentrate upon the energies within the diamond. Soon he became aware of the Tower of Light rising high above him. It felt as if he was sitting in the center of a gigantic quartz crystal which flooded him with its light. Slowly he felt himself lighten and rise. Powerful energies beamed into him. After a while he entered a vibrant zone of pulsing redness, wherein he experienced an infusion of red, revitalizing his very cells. Then he was lifted into the sphere of warm orange light, more brilliant than 1,000 suns, which strengthened his will. Next he rose through an era of glowing yellow which imbued his being with the light of pristine clarity and penetrating wisdom, to the emerald green which opened his heart to beat in unison with all hearts. Still Solana was lifted higher up the tall shaft of the Tower of Light, although he was no longer conscious of his individualized self. Entering the azure blue ray he heard, vibrating within the very core of his being, the sound which contained all sounds, as he resonated in oneness with all creation. Then upwards he went into the mystical indigo which held the revelation of all mysteries. Finally Solana rose even further, into the vastness of purple, wherein he was truly empowered. One color followed the next in steady succession. At last everything became infused with a radiant magenta, and all the parts of his being unified into one. That too soon dropped away as Solana was lifted higher into the sphere which contained pure brilliant white light once again. This light was of such magnitude that it obliterated all else. Yet as Solana slowly returned to the awareness of who he was certain that he had now arrived in Atlantis. Thus did our dedicated priest of Rapa Nui and servant of An complete his lengthy journey to Atlantis. Soon he would be shocked beyond words to discover just how many thousands of years of worldly time had actually elapsed since he had departed his island homeland. The explanation is quite simple, for was it not true that both An and Tivapiri indeed exist outside of time? Yet amazingly Solana had not aged much outwardly, although he had reached a new level of conscious maturity. Throughout it all he had been watched over and protected, while he was carefully led from experience to experience. This we always do with those dedicated ones who never let fall their sacred duty. They glide through the pickets of life as if on golden wings of light. As if on golden wings of light. It is not always easy for them, this we know, but if they only realize it, they are never truly forgotten by us. Most of them are just beginning to remember that they are truly the angels who were assigned to the earth back at the beginning of time. Such a rare and remarkable one was our devoted Solana.